Part 3. They arrived in 2 hours. 3 men, none of them young anymore, one with gray at his temples, one walking with a slight limp, one who was broader than the van doors but moved quietly. They came in a dark truck, and they didn't waste time asking unnecessary questions. Maya learned their names later. Marcus, Owen, and Garrett. Her father's unit. 3 of the 4 men in the photograph. They had found out where Victor's boss operated, a man known simply as the chairman, among people too cautious to use his real name. He ran his operation out of a warehouse office at the edge of the industrial estate. Tinted windows, 2 men always posted at the entrance, the kind of place that looked like a logistics firm from the outside and was something entirely different inside. Marcus had made calls on the drive over, not to the police, not yet, to people who knew the terrain. By the time the truck pulled around to the back entrance, he knew the layout. He knew which room. What the 3 of them did next was not loud. Men who have been trained the way they were trained do not need to be loud. Owen handled the 2 men at the back door before either could reach for a phone. Garrett moved through the corridor like he owned it, because in that moment, he did. Marcus went straight for the office at the end of the hall. There were 4 men inside with the boss. There were 3 men at the door. It was not a fair fight. It was never meant to be. They found Claire in the corner of that office. Her blouse was torn at the shoulder. Her hair had come loose and fell across her face in damp strands. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, and her eyes held the kind of disgust that does not come from fear alone. It comes from violation, from having your dignity treated as something that can simply be taken. She was still standing. That was the first thing Marcus noticed. After everything, she was still on her feet. He shrugged off his jacket and crossed the room without a word and placed it around her shoulders. He did not ask questions. He did not look at her with pity. He looked at her the way a soldier looks at someone who has just survived something, with recognition and with respect. "Dan's wife," he said quietly. "We have you. Let's go." Behind him, Owen and Garrett made sure the boss and his 4 men would not be following anyone anywhere for a long while. The sounds from that room were brief and efficient, and final. The boss would later require 2 surgeries. He would not return to that warehouse. He would not return to any business that depended on frightening people smaller than him. Word travels fast in certain circles, and the word that traveled fastest was this. 3 men had walked into his operation without blinking and walked out again with what they came for. No one in that network came near Creston Road Market again. He was a man who had run out of time and out of options. He couldn't fight the cancer. He couldn't pay the doctors. He couldn't stay. But in the days before he left, Daniel Hayes, Dan to the men who had stood beside him, did the last thing a father and a husband could do. He made a call. He wrote a number. He folded a promise into the back of a photograph and trusted that the people he had bled alongside would still be the people he believed them to be. He was right. Karma does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives in a dark truck, 2 hours after a desperate phone call, driven by 3 men who had never stopped being brothers. Sometimes it is a jacket placed around shaking shoulders, without a single word of explanation. Sometimes it is a new stall with a roof and college fees paid quietly, and a young woman who never has to be afraid again. Victor's boss got what he deserved. Victor disappeared from Creston Road and did not come back. And a woman in her late 30s who had lost everything found in the wreckage that her husband had made sure she would never be truly alone. That is the kind of man worth remembering. If this story moved something in you, if it reminded you what real loyalty looks like, what a father's love looks like when it outlasts the father, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe and follow for more stories like this. We post every week. And if there is a number written somewhere in your life, on the back of a photograph, in the margin of a notebook, somewhere you were told to call if things got hard, do not be afraid to call it. That number was put there by someone who loved you. And on the other end, there may be someone who has been waiting for the chance to show up.